Well, the hits just keep coming for Tesla. They just can't seem to catch any traction on any front, which is bad news for the stock because it is essentially in a downtrend that appears to have no end in sight. But there does seem to be just a slight little light there at the end of the tunnel that we'll talk about today too. So let's go over all this today. I'll give you my take on both the good and the bad news because obviously there's a lot of bad news out there in regards to Tesla. And I'll tell you exactly what it means to the stock price. And as promised, I'll give you my new updated Tesla stock price target because that obviously has changed since my last video. I told you guys about it. I promise you it. So you're going to get it here today too. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype. And especially with Tesla, there's a lot of hype that comes with it. And I'm just trying to bring you guys an honest take on all this. All right, so let's get rolling on the bad news for Tesla first, then on to a little bit of good news. And we'll get to my price target as well after that. So the first bit of bad news is the slowdown in China. Obviously, Tesla cutting down production in China as reported is not a good sign for Tesla at all, especially with China being kind of one of the bright spots there in regards to growth for Tesla. This is not a good sign. Now, honestly, don't find this to be a surprise that we're finally starting to see a slowdown in China, given the fact that there has just been a huge slowdown in the overall Chinese economy overall. It kind of seemed to, I mean, obviously it affected Tesla, but not nearly as much as the growth that was coming behind that. But now it seems like it's all finally caught up. Now, no, all the people out there saying this is a complete disaster and the worst thing ever and all that other hyperbole like that. No, it is not a complete and total disaster. However, I do know that a lot of folks were kind of counting on China and China's growth and continued growth there for Tesla to kind of soften the blow of those, margins coming down, EPS coming down. Obviously, the Cybertruck ramp costing a lot of money, being a lot harder than what they thought initially, and a lot of other things like that. You kind of were hoping that Chinese growth would kind of soften that, and it looks like we're not going to get that. But that doesn't make it a complete disaster either. So not earth-shattering, terrible news, obviously not, but it fits in exactly what we've been talking about since October. And that is that you're going to see a continued weakening in Tesla over the next couple of quarters, which is exactly what's happened so far. And that is exactly what's played out. And that is exactly what the company told us. Number two, the second piece of bad news, a delivery miss is becoming a real possibility. Now, I get it. A lot of folks are speculating on whether this is true or not. And you guys know, I'm not here necessarily to speculate. I don't like to speculate. And that's just kind of not the game that I play per se. I like to deal with facts. So in regards to deliveries actually coming in softer than expected, again, I don't think I'd be surprised by that for this quarter. We knew it was going to be a tough quarter. They told us it was going to be a tough quarter. If indeed those factories truly have pulled back and kind of slowed some of that production there, I don't see how we necessarily hit delivery estimates, or it makes it much harder to hit those delivery estimates. Now, Tesla's been in this spot before where it looked like deliveries were going to miss, and they delivered not only a beat, but a record beat. So that is not off the table and not something I necessarily want to discount. But I also can't say that there aren't clear signs that meeting this delivery number is going to be very hard this time around. Now, the bigger picture to keep in mind here is that it's still going to be a great delivery number in comparison to obviously what everybody else in the EV space is doing. And obviously, most of them have actually just completely stopped or are planning on stopping their EV production altogether. So even though it will come across in a lot of articles and a lot of videos and all that other sort of stuff as that big of a disaster, as completely cutting production, it's not. It's just going to be a miss on deliveries, which I know for Tesla, that is rare. They normally hit those delivery numbers. But if they don't hit it this time around, I'm much more worried about the big picture. How bad do they miss? Now, if they miss by, 50,000 vehicles, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a different discussion here. But I know even if they miss by just a couple thousand vehicles, it's going to be played up as this big, giant disaster. And it's not. Even in just the same thing, whenever the bulls go, crazy nuts over the fact that, Tesla beat deliveries by 2,000 vehicles. It's nominal, guys. Who freaking cares? That's not this massive game-changing beat. Just like if they happen to miss by that much, it's not just this game-changing disaster of a delivery number. It's just not. It's neither one of those things. We've got to see something big in terms of the miss for it to actually be something that I'm concerned with. And more importantly, that will impact the stock really, really hard. If it's a slight miss, of course, traders are going to trade it, but they're going to do that regardless. I mean, Elon looks the wrong way, they're going to trade it down. It's just kind of part of the environment that we're in. Same thing whenever it's on a run. Man, when Tesla's running, boy, doesn't matter. Elon can just show up on the red carpet, do a funny little dance there, and all of a sudden it somehow added, $1 trillion to Tesla's market cap. I don't know. Tesla's wild that way. And the final piece of bad news, politicians calling on the SEC to investigate Elon. Now, you guys know I don't do politics on this channel. I don't care. Just not going to do it here. But this particular senator in general seems to not like anybody who happens to be rich or happens to make a lot of money. It's not just directed at Elon himself. Now, her and Elon have kind of been tussling now for it's at least more than a year, maybe 2 or 3 years now. Really don't know. That's how little I keep up with this sort of stuff. But she tends to call on everybody to be investigated about everything, and every company that happens to make money and do very, very well for themselves to be investigated for something at some point in time. I'm pretty sure the SEC just has a pile of all her complaints and they probably just go right in the shredder right afterwards. So for me, this was nothing. This was nothing but a nothing burger. You notice Wall Street didn't even really react to it. Nobody cares. It's actually outside of just a quick little headline. There's not a whole lot of news about it. Definitely not a lot of chatter about it, which tells you all you need to know about this particular senator's gripes calling for that. Heck, she even calls for it on people who are huge donors to her own party. She'll call for them to be investigated. I mean, I guess it's just part of her brand. I have no idea. I saw it and I just kind of laughed out loud. I thought it was funny and hysterical. So nothing to worry about there, guys. Just ignore this sort of stuff. That's all it is. It's strictly noise and move on from it. Now, there was some positive news as well that kind of fell under the radar a little bit because obviously whenever they said there's a slowdown there in China, that kind of takes all the headlines away from the positive news. But there was some positive news as well. And that would be finally we're getting price increases. We finally have the price of vehicles going up. Now, it was just the Model Y, and obviously it's only going up $1,000 in terms of the price, but it is a move in the right direction and shows you the strength, especially of the Model Y in regards to sales, to where they feel confident, especially with a lot of the other things going on right now in terms of slowdown in China and other places. They feel confident that raising it that $1,000 is something they can do, and it absolutely is something they can do and not hurt demand. It's a nice step in the right direction, and maybe, just maybe, it is kind of that light at the end of the tunnel I was talking about at the beginning of this video, to where we see kind of the end of the margin compression starting to come into view. Now, don't get it twisted. I know the bulls are going to go nuts about this. It is not this game-changing thing that tomorrow Tesla's going to, next quarter, all of a sudden Tesla's going to be on top of the world again. It's not that good. We got a long way to go, and it's a step in the right direction. And I'm not saying that the margin compression is completely over either. Obviously, this quarter, because this doesn't take effect until April 1, this quarter is done for, so we know margin compression is probably going to continue to happen this quarter as well. But hopefully it signals kind of a bottoming process over the next quarter, maybe the quarter after that, but we're starting to see that bottoming process of that margin compression so we can see EPS start moving back up the right direction. Now, sure, I hope it happens. Not obviously the quarter that's getting ready to end here at the end of this month. More realistically, we're definitely going to see something there on the next quarter after that. But at least it is a step in the right direction. And like I said, it's that light at the end of the tunnel that we needed to see. And that aligns perfectly with exactly what we've been talking about in regards to a timeline on this downturn since last October. This aligns perfectly with that. So I'll give you the answer to what does this mean to the stock price itself right now, and then we'll talk about my price target next. Well, being honest with you guys, I see nothing in any of this that's going to change what's going to happen the next quarter that's getting ready to come up here. It's going to be a rough quarter. I would love a surprise. That would be great. But right now, there's nothing in regards to the momentum, nothing in regards to what the company can surprise us with outside of some crazy surprise announcement or some incredible guidance in this next earnings call that's going to continue to help the stock price in the short term. There just isn't a whole lot there right now in terms of tangible things that could be announced or we could see data on that adds to the bottom line, that stops the EPS slide, that adds significantly to revenue to make up for a possible delivery miss, or at least the deliveries kind of being flat, whatever the case is there. There's nothing tangible that I can point to. Sure, Optimus is going to be great. Optimus is years into the future and has absolutely zero bearing on what Wall Street is going to do with the stock right now, this day, this week, this month, this quarter. It has zero to do with that. So bringing up things like that, I'm sorry guys, I'd love to say it was great, but right now there's nothing tangible there I can point to that's going to change the short-term situation with Tesla stock. So I think we continue to see downward pressure on the stock. And if that next quarter that we're thinking is going to be rough is kind of rough, hopefully we priced some of it in, but I don't know if we priced all of it in. Of course, obviously delivery numbers are going to give us a little bit of a peek into what that is. And then obviously after that, when the actual earnings come, that right there is going to be the big thing where even if it's ugly, Elon could save it with guidance, but we know on an earnings call, he's a wild card. We have no idea what he's going to say there. So it becomes a wait and see approach, but I don't see anything outside of something like we just talked about in regards to a surprise guidance hugely to the upside or something like that, that can change the downward trend in the stock. So I suspect we're going to see it continue to trend lower. That is simply because Elon told us EPS was going to come down, and I'm not sure I'm seeing anything that's going to tell me and give me a reason to think EPS won't continue to trend down, which of course lowers that valuation. Now, I have no clue as to how low it's going, and everybody out there drawing all the little pretty charts and graphs and pretty lines and all the other good stuff like that have absolutely no clue either. They are simply guessing. I'm not into guessing, guys. I just use simple fundamentals and valuation instead. Valuation is what told me back in October when Tesla was around 240 or so, maybe a little bit higher than that my price target at 203 was just too high. And it was too high based upon what Elon told me, because Elon said in that earnings call that EPS was going to go down. So my price target at 203 I felt was way too high, because Elon said EPS is going to go down, which means valuation has to come down, because EPS is a key component of calculating valuation. So if that's going to go down, that means the valuation is going to go down, which means my price target at 203 was just too high for what I wanted to do and kind of what I saw happening as EPS continued to fall. So I adjusted my price target down to 169.69. And I got destroyed for doing that. Everybody called me bears and bearish on the stock and everything else like that. And it wasn't. And I'm very thankful that I let valuation guide me, because lo and behold, guess what? I didn't buy those shares at 203. Instead, I bought shares at 169.69, just like I planned. And that's exactly what valuation told me to do. Valuation was the key, telling me to lower my price target and not buy when I thought I was going to buy back in October. Valuation told me to lower that, just like valuation told me to buy, Meta in the 80s and under $100, and Palantir under $10, and a bunch of other stocks like that. So it is critical to your investing you know exactly how to do valuations, which luckily you can get free coaching on valuations. You can have direct access to me to help you with valuations, take free courses on valuations, have the best group of 6, 7, and 8-figure investors out there helping you understand and know intimately exactly how to do valuations, which is what we do for all the members that are part of my group, which is on sale right now. So make sure you check out the pinned comment down there. There's actually a lot more than that included in it. My buy and sell alerts, my complete watch list with price targets. There's so much, guys. Check out the pinned comment down there. See if a membership's right for you, because when the sale's over, the price goes up. And I want you guys all to be in there and to be able to take advantage of the sale before it ends. All right, so back on track here. Keep in mind, I have all the shares of Tesla I could want and then some. I didn't think I'd get some at 169.69, and guess what? It's Tesla, so of course I did, and I was able to add more shares, so I don't need more shares. So when I look out at my next Tesla buy, I want a bigger discount because I don't need it. So I only want shares if they're going to continue to give them to me on the super cheap. So my new price target for Tesla is 142.69. If I get it, great. I'm a super happy camper, even if it goes lower, which it probably will, because that's always what happens whenever I buy stocks. And if not, hey, I'm okay as well, because I have all the shares that I want of a great stock. And remember, if you want direct access to me and our group and our coaching and everything else involved, make sure you take advantage of the sale that's going on right now for my group, where you get direct access to myself. You get the free coaching. You get 5 free courses. You get my complete watch list with price targets. You get all my buy and sell alerts. You get access to our Discord. Guys, there's so much going on. There's so much more coming to the group. Make sure you check out the pinned comment and see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.